Why is it that when we think of music today, we immediately imagine romantic scenes, provocative clothing, or bold dance moves? Has music always been this way, or is this a modern trend that made many, especially Muslims, see music as obscene and even haram? In this video, we will explore the history, biology, and cultural impact of music's blending with this element of sexuality and whether music can exist in its pure, uncorrupted form. Music in its purest form. Music has existed for thousands of years. In Mesopotamia, people played harps and lyres. The Greeks used music in philosophy and theaters. In India, ragas were believed to connect humans with cosmic energy. In Islamic tradition, we find nasheeds, Sufi qawwalis, and recitations of poetry that stir the heart without any sexual imagery. Music in its origin was storytelling, worship, and a way to blend communities together. It was not about bold visuals or lust, it was about rhythm, devotion, and meaning. When did music become sexualized? This shift began mainly in the 20th century when mass media changed the way we consumed music. With cinema, television, and later MTV, producers discovered something. When music was combined with sexually arousing visuals, it attracted more attention and sold more records. Elvis Presley's hip movements shocked audience in the 1950s. Madonna and MTV in the 80s normalized provocative dancing. Today, TikTok trends thrive on bold dance moves. Music gradually became tied to sexual energy, not because of art itself, but because industries realized it sells. But is this purely commercial or is there a biological connection? Neuroscience shows that music activates the brain's dopamine reward system, the same system triggered by food, exercise, and even sexual activity. However, there is a difference. Music mostly stimulates dopamine and oxytocin, the hormone of bonding and connection. Sexual arousal, on the other hand, is strongly tied to testosterone and estrogen. So, yes, music and sex share overlapping brain pathways of pleasure, but they are not the same thing. They can exist separately. Means we can enjoy music separately without being sexualized. The link is more about brain's pleasure center than a direct hormonal bond. Coming towards the Islamic perspective, why music became suspect in Islamic societies. In Islamic history, music was not completely forbidden. Nasheeds and Sufi chants were widely used, but as the global music industry became more sexualized, Muslims started to view music itself as guilty by association. When every song on television or internet came with bold dance, revealing clothing, or love scenes, many Muslims began to assume that music itself was a tool of corruption. The spiritual, cultural, and artistic side of music was overshadowed by the commercial side. This is why, in modern Islamic societies, many people equate music with haram not because of the sound itself, but because of the way it has been packaged and presented. The impact of this blending on humans. When music and sexual imagery are combined, their effect multiplies and diversifies. On one hand, this increases entertainment value and commercial success. On the other hand, it can distort human psychology. Young people begin to see music not as art but as an automatic trigger for lust. Music becomes addictive not because of melody alone but because of its link with provocative imagery. This shapes relationships, expectations, and even morality in society. Over time, pure enjoyment of music without sexual connotation becomes harder to imagine. Can music be purified and restored to its pure essence? But music is not doomed to be this way. It can exist without sexualized toppings. Folk songs, instrumental performances, and spiritual traditions all prove that music can uplift without corrupting. By focusing on lyrical depth, cultural heritage, and devotion, music can return to its original role, a tool for storytelling, worship, and connection, not a product for lust and profit. But the question is how to separate music from obscenity. Today, the debate over music has become polarized. On one side, there are people who consider all music acceptable without any checks or boundaries. On the other side, there are people who declare all music to be outrightly prohibited. But the middle ground, the people who believe that music can be enjoyed under certain conditions, has diminished. Yet the middle path is perhaps the most balanced and realistic. Those who follow it should come forward to create music that is beautiful, thought provoking, and enjoyable without being sexually arousing. This means music that uplifts, inspires, and entertains while remaining respectful and modest. And how it can be achieved? Firstly, promote alternative aesthetics. Instead of provocative visuals, use nature, abstract art, cultural heritage, or storytelling in music videos. Focus on meaningful lyrics, poetry, spirituality, social messages, or even clean entertainment can replace lust based themes. Encourage modest fashion in performances. Artists don't have to dress provocatively to engage an audience. Creativity and authenticity can be more powerful. Build niche platforms. Support digital spaces where such balanced music can grow. That means to prepare some separate channels, some separate social media platforms, some stages, etc. So that artists don't feel forced to follow the commercial sex sells formula. If this middle path is revived, society can reclaim